Good girls don't drink single malt whiskey, nor do they drink it straight. Or at least that's what I thought. Actually, it's not true. When it's good whiskey, I can't imagine drinking it any other way than straight up. The challenge lies in finding good whiskey. I tried to focus on the bottle's label. Lime burners, single malt whiskey, barrel strength. Aidan held up the whiskey, glowing gold in the firelight. What do you want for it? His face split in a wide grin beneath his ocean-deep eyes. You could start with a kiss. That's an extract from my book Water and Fire, where main character Belinda is particularly partial to whiskey. I set Water and Fire in Albany for 3 reasons: the location and landscape, the whales, and the whiskey. There's only one whiskey distillery in Albany, and part of my research for my book involved a private tour and tasting. Yes, I bought a few bottles too, both their lime burners and their tiger snake. What can I say? The Great Southern Distillery does indeed make good whiskey. Of course, I wondered why and how. So in the name of research, I asked. Well, they start by capturing rainwater on site, which they use to brew their whiskies. For their lime burners single malt whiskies, they take one kind of barley, yep, that's where the name single malt comes from, and soak it in rainwater until it's just about to sprout. The barley is then dried out and malted, which means smoked in a kiln outside the distillery. 300 kilograms of malted barley gets ground up and then mashed into 1,200 litres of warm water in a mash tun, 3 times over. They drain the liquid and cool it off so they can add yeast to ferment the sugars into alcohol, like you might for homebrew beer. Fermenting can take up to a week, but the resulting wash can be up to 8% alcohol, similar to a very strong beer. This wash goes into one of the custom-made copper pot stills so they can distill alcohol from it, leaving behind the water and the spent wash. They do this by heating it up to around 78 degrees Celsius, the boiling point for alcohol, but not hot enough to boil water. So the alcohol evaporates, rises, then condenses inside the line arm and trickles down to where it's collected, ready to be distilled again. Twice distilled or triple distilled spirits, they basically go through the process 2 or 3 times. The spirit they distill is clear and colourless. It looked more like vodka than whiskey, but it sure smelled like whiskey. So where does it get the characteristic amber colour from? The oak barrels. First, they're matured for years in bourbon barrels shipped in from the US, before spending a few months in casks that have already been used for maturing fortified wines in Australia. When the whiskey is properly matured, it's bottled on site in barrel batches for sale. So the barrel number on the bottle is exactly that, the number written on the barrel it came from. I did ask about the Tiger Snake Sour Mash whiskey. Is it really sour, and what's different about it? The answer is that it's made in a similar way to a Kentucky-style bourbon whiskey, with corn instead of the barley used in the single malts. But as it's made on the other side of the world from Kentucky, the whiskey is officially a sour mash. As for the name, Tiger Snake, after tasting a little of it, and buying a bottle so I could have a little more later, I figured it might be because there's a hint of venom in it. But I'm told it was named for the aggressive tiger snakes that live around the distillery, and one in particular who took up residence in the distillery's shed, just like the tiger snake in the unfortunate incident in Water and Fire.